So just this morning, I have shared an analysis of gold in my community, Market Surfers community, and this is the analysis that I have shared. I'll be updating this in the current wave counts around here, and as you can see, I have created an analysis that forecasted both the price and time, the Elliott wave. Now here, as you can see, the first wave down after the all-time high price created 5 waves down. So if it created 5 waves down, then we are expecting a possible zigzag correction, because a zigzag correction, the first wave A of a zigzag correction is composed of 5 waves down. Wave B can be any type of correction. It can be zigzag, or it can be double XY, or it can even be a triangle. But in terms of the wave C here, this one, the wave C must be composed of 5 waves. Using this as your invalidation of the possible zigzag, and this will be the confirmation, the previous all-time high price. Now, what's the reason why I forecasted it this way? There were two possible corrective structure for this uptrend here. One was WXY, and this one is an ABC or a zigzag. The reason behind this is that this is the analysis 1 hour time frame. So if we will try to check the internal waves, for some this can be interpreted as 1, 2, then 3, 4, and 5. Using this as our A, and then this is another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is another A. So it's also valid to project that this can be considered as an ABC instead of just an A. However, if I have forecasted this as WXY, labeling this as A, B, and then the C, then the next uptrend should be an ABC up. However, although it's still valid to become an ABC, because the invalidation of a WXY scenario will be this price. And as of now, we're still above that bullish last line of defense. So we're still above that bullish last line of defense. So therefore, the WXY scenario, when I say WXY scenario, this one, let me change this into a red colored count. The WXY scenario is still valid. However, of course, we are already close to the last line of the bullish last line of defense. So if it is a WXY, then we must have the first 5 waves, then an ABC or a WXY correction here, and then another 5 waves up. And the possible target will be H2 implied fair value gap. That's for the WXY. But as of now, as things are unfolded, especially the price action that happened last time, we cannot ignore the possibility of a correction that is an ABC correction like this one. What's the reason behind this? Okay, the reason behind this are the following. We can interpret this as the first wave, second, third, fourth, and then fifth. Meaning, the first wave of this possible 5 waves down of the zigzag higher time frame correction can be considered as a leading diagonal. Why leading diagonal? Simply because the wave 1 here was overlapped by the wave 4. In Elliott wave theory, when wave 4 retraces beyond the territory of wave 1 but respecting wave 2, then this will be considered as a diagonal. So if this is a diagonal, then this, and this is part of the corrective wave 2. And this can be labeled as an ABC, or it can also be valid to be counted as a WXY. But here, if we will consider the 5 waves up here and then a possible triangle wave B, then we can consider an ABC where B is a possible triangle. Okay? So if we will treat this as 5 waves, and then we will treat this as our wave 2, then it's safe to forecast that the zigzag correction will be the most logical scenario that will happen. And as you can see in the shared analysis that I have given, I even forecasted the time wave 1 will possibly reverse. And then my target, by the way, for wave 2 is at 5,150. Now, going back here, allow me to do some live counting to check whether we have completed the internal waves and we have not violated any rules of an impulsive wave 3. First, let me check the length of the wave 1 and let's compare it to the length of wave 3. As you can see here, if we will treat this as our wave 3, then it's safe to label this as a wave 3, since wave 3 is the not the must not be the shortest. So in this case, this is not the shortest because wave 3 is 137 while wave 1 is just 113, or 2.65 for wave 3 and 2.17% for wave 1. And here, from wave 4 to here, we must complete the 5 internal waves as well. In this case, allow me to check whether we have completed the 5 waves here from this top to the internal waves to complete the 5th wave. Now, checking the internal waves here, this could be the wave 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is just the wave 3. And then what we are experiencing right now can be considered the wave 4 and then the wave 5. So therefore, the internal waves is still not yet completed. So the invalidation, if this becomes impulsive, the invalidation, so this will be the bullish first line of defense and this will be the last line of defense. So allow me to label it here. This will be the bearish first line of defense and the last line of defense. But this is just for scalping. So if there will be a reaction here rejecting the first line of defense, then the possible wave 1 completion may end today or may end tomorrow morning or during the Asian session. As of now, if we will try to project this based on the wave counts, the time created here is the shortest in terms of time. So just imagine if this is our wave 3, 2 to 3 is just 10 hours or 10 bars in a 1 hour time frame, while wave 1 is 31 bars, wave 2 is 10 bars, wave 4 is 6 bars, and then for wave 5, the longest in terms of price and time will be the wave 5. So if ever that will happen, the account is obviously valid. Actually, this can also be treated this way. 1, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, and then 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 5. Let me change into 15 minutes time frame. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is valid 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me check the length. 67. Okay, so this is valid as well. So I will not be surprised if ever the 5150 target will be the target for the possible wave 2. For those who are probably asking, where did I get this 5150? It's an implied fair value gap at 12 hours time frame. This one. This is the implied fair value gap that I have seen in the 12 hours time frame. Big candle, the left and the right candles are overlapping each other. The big candle is a bearish candle, which makes this as an implied fair value gap, but a bearish one. So that's why we have here the 15150 as my possible target for the wave 2. So going back to the internal waves of the current downtrend and possible intraday reversal, then if this is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this will be the completion of the wave 5, then this could be an A, B, C. Now, in my succeeding analysis this morning, I labeled this as wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if I have labeled this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then I was expecting an ABC. And that's the reason why I share this count wherein I only projected at least a -2 standard deviation, the Elliott wave way. However, the -2 standard deviation was not even visited, and then the market did a correction after completing the internal waves. And from here, I even shared this. This is my entry, scalp long this morning. And then let's see what happened after that. Scalp long entry was at S15. My initial target was at -2, but that did not happen. However, I was still able to trade this. So if this is our A and this is our B, then this could be labeled as an ending diagonal wave C. Or if it will create a new height tonight here, for example, it will break the high at 5,035, then I will no longer consider the ABC and may upgrade this into a WXY correction. When I say WXY correction, when we hit this one, I will be expecting another 5 or rather 3 waves up and possibly reaching the -3 to -4 standard deviation. So this will be the scenario if ever we created or we will break the Asian high. So if we break the Asian high, then I will go for a WXY. But if not, then from here, there will be a possible mini 5 waves down to complete the internal waves of possible extended fifth wave here or extended third wave, because the wave 3 here can also be placed here, and wave 4, and then wave 5 will be here. The wave 3 will become an extended third wave, which is valid in terms of Elliott wave counting. But as of now, if we will base it on the quarterly theory, it is obvious that we have here an accumulation and accumulation. Now, why accumulation and accumulation here? Allow me to give you a tip why the first 2 quarters can be considered as accumulation. The reason why it can be considered as accumulation is, first, in the quarter 1 or first quarter, there is no clear manipulation. This is a continuation model wherein there is no clear manipulation. When we say manipulation, it should sweep at least the high or the low of the previous quarter. For the second quarter here, it sweeps the low of the first quarter. However, if you will consider the second quarter as the manipulation, then the third and the fourth should not break the low of the second quarter. But in this case, although this can be considered as an AMD, then the X is a reversal, this is still a good AMDX, but this can be appropriately labeled as continuation model. So this is just a continuation. But as a whole, the quarter 1 can be considered as an XR. So if I will label this as an XR or an X reversal, then the second one will be labeled as accumulation. Again, why accumulation? The only quarters that can be accumulation or X reversal or X continuation will be the first, the second, and the last. But in this case, since there is no clear manipulation again, this is a continuation of the previous quarter, supposed to be a manipulation of the previous quarter. However, the last quarter did not continue to break the second subquarter low and the first subquarter low. So in this case, this is still continuation model, which can be safely labeled as an accumulation. So if this is an XR and this is an accumulation, then the third quarter should be a manipulation. So if ever this will be a manipulation, we already have a hint. Since the first quarter, as you can see here, swept the high of the second quarter, then we are expecting that this will be a possible manipulation. So if this will be a possible manipulation, then we will wait for the second and the third quarter to complete. And that means we need to wait until 10-12 for us to confirm whether this will be a manipulation or not. Because if this will be a manipulation, then the price should sweep the first sub-quarter high, or the third quarter will sweep the sub-quarter high of the second sub-quarter. So since we are still waiting for this time windows for the confirmation, this can already be considered as a sweep of the previous sub-quarter, this one. So if I will label the sub-quarters here, this can be considered as the possible accumulation or XC. We will confirm it later. And the next sub-quarter can be considered as a manipulation. And then the third quarter can be considered as a distribution, and the fourth will be continuation or manipulation. So this could be a distribution. This is not yet confirmed, but the current structure sub-quarter of the third quarter is not yet. But as of now, the substructure looks like an AMDXC. So if that is the case, then let's see if it will break from my gathered data. Usually, the manipulation is just 10 to 15 pips from the high of the previous sub-quarter. So let's say if this will breach this one, else I will increase the tolerance to 15 pips. But usually manipulation is just 10 to 15. More than that will not be considered as a manipulation anymore. Can be considered as a possible accumulation up. Let's see what will happen next. By the way, I traded this low. I took profit here. I did not anticipate actually a possible XR AMD structure. I was expecting an A accumulation, manipulation, distribution. However, the second quarter will tell me that this is not a this can be a possible continuation model because there's no clear manipulation. So if we consider the third quarter as manipulation, fourth sub-quarter should not break the high of that manipulation. But since it did break the high of the third sub-quarter, this can no longer, the sub-quarter can no longer be considered as manipulation. Yes, that's the 5,150 is a 12 hour implied fair value gap. So we are seeing a good reaction here. So if again, the tip that I shared to you in my previous live is that check the sub-quarter PDRA, when the sub-quarter 2 is about to close, make sure to check the price. If the price is below the equilibrium of that sub-quarter, then there's a high probability that it will sweep the low of that current sub-quarter or the low of the previous sub-quarter, which once we break this low or this low of the sub-quarter 1, this will confirm the AMDXC structure. So let's just wait for the second quarter to close. The second quarter should close at around 9:38. Let me just open the chart or the time windows for my QTR trading system. So here's the time windows for each quarter. Currently, we are at the third quarter. So the second sub-quarter of the third quarter, second sub-quarter of the third quarter will start at 9:04 and ends at 9:38. So second sub-quarter will end at 9:38. So once we break this low, confirm AMD. But once we respect this low here, then the structure will become from AMDX, it will be changed into X A, and then the M here will be the manipulation and distribution for the C. In terms of internal Elliott wave counts, this can be considered 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we are actually completing the internal waves of wave 5 here. So if this is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this can be considered 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is already the fifth wave. So if this is wave 1, 2, this is 3, 4, and then this could be considered as wave 5 because the internal waves are also completed. This one. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, and then 5. And that's the reason why we need to break this. If we are bearish, this will be the discount of the sub-quarter PDRA must be swept first for a confirmation of a possible manipulation. By the way, the wave A can be placed here to confirm the internal waves of the wave 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here. If we will try to base it on the Elliott wave counts, the internal waves is not yet completed here. If this is wave 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5 must sweep this. So this could be a possible, we'll switch from an AMD to an XCA accumulation, then this will be the manipulation. If we will base it on the internal waves is not yet completed. So if it is not yet completed, then of course, you have to consider changing the structure. And based on what I have said before the end of that current sub-quarter PDRA, the price must be above the equilibrium for it to be bullish, or for it to be bearish below the equilibrium. We have swept this already. This confirms the internal waves of our third wave. This is a possible ending diagonal. We'll just wait for the internal waves of this one to be completed. And let's see what will happen. Anyway, the sub-quarter 2 is not yet completed or not yet done. It will end at 9:38. So since wave 4 retraces beyond the territory of wave 1, this can be considered as an ending diagonal. So this is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So fifth wave of fifth can be considered as an ending diagonal. Let's see what will happen. So we're already above the equilibrium. So there's a high chance that the structure will be an XAMD where M will be a manipulation. Let's see what will happen next. Manipulation, and this becomes a distribution. So if ever this AMD will happen, the retracement for the distribution can be considered as the possible wave B or 2. Meaning, as I have mentioned a while ago, I can consider this as WX and then Y. This can be labeled as A, and then this could be considered as C. So if I will consider this as wave C, then if it will respect this low here in the correction, in the possible distribution, then another ABC will be forecasted, meaning this will be wave A, wave B, and then another wave C. And then the wave C the target for my wave C will be the possible 12-hour implied fair value gap. Usually the reversals are within the PBCT levels, and the PBCT levels are the following. Previous day low at 509, which happened to be the previous week body low as well. And then previous day body low is at 518, as well as the previous week body low at 518. So let's wait for a reaction here. Once we break the high of the previous sub-quarter, even the smallest week, or even just a week, then I will no longer, I will confirm the possible AMD. The condition will be the manipulation should break this high, the previous sub-quarter high at 5,034.26. The conservative will always be a 1 RR trade or a 1.5 RR trade. For example, if I will be anticipating AXAMD for a sub-quarter scalp, sub-quarter scalp will always be 10 to 15 or to 20 pips only. Based on my data, each quarter ranges from 10 to 20. That's the average movement of each quarter. In a non-high impact news, 10 to 20 pips each quarter. Even if we measure this one, this is around 20 to 30. This one, possible manipulation in the second quarter and third quarter. Based on my data, it's around 20 to 40. So this one, if we will try to measure it, this is around 20 to 40. As well as in the third, manipulation usually is 10 to 20 as well. So let's see what will happen. But based on the Elliott wave counts, we may be seeing a correction soon because the 5 waves up, this one, counting with the parenthesis wave 5, can be confirmed anytime or before the closing of the sub-quarter 3. This should be at 10:12. So we're waiting for a manipulation here. Best time window to find an entry is before the closing, or an anticipation would be around this one. But you should adjust your possible SL to 10 to 20. Based on my data, 20. And then move it depending on the actual price of the manipulation, peak of the manipulation. And this one we are still waiting. Based on Elliott wave 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully we get a sweep here of the previous sub-quarter high or a possible distribution. But if ever there will be no sweeping that will happen here in the high of the previous sub-quarter, then I will reconsider going back to AMDX structure. But we still have time. The sub-quarter 3 will end at 10:12. So we still have enough time for this high to be swept. The next time window to find an entry would be at 11:19 to 11:27. And third quarter ends at 10:45. So once natapos ng 10:45 candle dito, then mag-off stream muna ako, and then we'll probably continue before 11:19. Doon muna tayo sa Discord ulit. And then the last quarter, best time window to find an entry is at 11:19 to 12:27 para sa fourth quarter's substructure. Ang goal ko is to educate, to be honest. Pero yung maging influencer, kasi pag sinabing influencer or content creator, dapat lagi ako may post. I don't have the luxury of time to do that. Kapag nakapag-trade na ako, actually kahit hindi na ako mag-trade ng gabi. Pag sa Asian session, nabigyan ako magandang entry. Pag sa London or New York time, kahit hindi na ako mag-trade. Ini-enjoy ko na lang manonood ng Netflix, kaya magja-jogging sa hapon, kaya maglaro ng sport ko. Tingnan natin sa distribution na yan. Hindi pa naman confirm kung magiging AMD. We still have 10, 12 kasi. May 6 minutes pa. Eh alam niyo naman yung setup ko. Ang setup ko dito, if this will be the sub-quarter high of the previous quarter, ang sineset ko lang yan ng SL usually is like this. Initially, I will set 20. So if my entry price is this one, I'll just add 20. I'll just add 20 here, so magiging 54 to. Tapos target will be at least 1 RR. Pag hindi yan umabot ng 1 RR, then that's not a good setup. So kung ito 1 RR, kahit itong sub-quarter low lang, sub-quarter 1 low of the third quarter, that will give you a 1 RR. Pero kapag ang target mo yung low ng halimbawa ng second quarter, malaki-laki yun, 2.88 RR. Pero even a 1 RR trade, consistent 1 RR trade a day will make you a profitable trader. You just have to be contented with your gains kahit 1 RR trade lang yan. Kasi 1 RR trade a day is 365 RR in a year, di ba? So kung ano yung win rate mo ron, for example, win rate mo is 50%. So 50% of 365. So profitable ka pa rin kung ganun. Gaya ng sabi ko, the manipulation will be decided in the closing of the sub-quarter 3, which will end at 10:12. And meron naman tayong cheat code dito na share ko naman to sa community. Ang end ng quarter 3 of 3 is at 10:12 at malapit na tayo doon. So kung na-FOMO ka kalimbawa, nag-take ka kagad ng short without any confirmation, eh di kinakabahan ka kagad. At least pag dito ka lang nag-entry, dito ka lang kinakabahan, ilang minuto lang nakaba. Pero pag dito ka pa lang, first candle pa lang ng sub-quarter 3, nag-short ka na kagad, di kabado ka ngayon, matagal na ka ba kasi 9:38 to 10:12, mga around 45 ilang minutes din ba yun. So timing is everything in quarterly theory. Imagine kung dito ka pa lang sa first candle kanina ng sub-quarter 3. So 30 minutes kang kinakabahan kasi umaangat pa. So doon na pumapasok yung FOMO, naging undecided ka na, ang aga ko nag-short, so take out ko muna to. So kapag tinake out mo yung pala, biglang bumagsak dito. Ditong sideways movement na to, yung will either strengthen your psychology or will test your patience. Eh kung hinintay mo before closing of the sub-quarter 3, eh di konti lang yung binigay mong time para mag-overthink or gumawa ng decision. Kita nyo naman sa mga sub-quarters ayun kahit ipakita ko sa inyo yung PDRA na sinasabi ko, quarters, current quarter, PDRA, halimbawa dito. Bago mag-closing yung quarter na to, asan yung price? Nasa below. Kung nasa below siya ng equilibrium, most likely ang susweep niya tong low. Na-sweep niya nga. Dito naman yung magiging next PDRA mo. Ito yung PDRA mo. Ito yung, basta dynamic yung pagkakamove na ito ito yung low mo. Bago mag-closing, nasa below equilibrium. Tapos minove mo dito kasi gumawa ng new low. Minove mo ulit, minove mo ulit. Tapos ito na yung pinaka-low niya bago mag-close yung current sub-quarter. So since below siya ng equilibrium, malaki yung chance that the low of that sub-quarter will be taken. At yun na ngayon nangyari. So ito yung PDRA mo of the previous quarter. Yung naging sub-quarter T is within that PDRA pa rin, so hindi pa siya nakakalabas dun sa range na yon. So pwedeng ito or pwedeng ito yung magiging PDRA mo. At kita mo naman bago mag-closing yung quarter 3 nasa below equilibrium pa rin siya. Kaya tinake niya pa rin yung low ng previous quarter. Tapos pag binalikan naman natin dito sa sub-quarter 4, tingnan nyo maigi, sub-quarter 4, bago mag-closing. Ang sabi ko laging bago mag-closing ng sub-quarter, tingnan yung price. Asan yung price before the end of the sub-quarter 4? Above equilibrium. So anong nangyari? Sinweep niya yung high ng sub-quarter 4. O balikan naman natin dito. Although sinasabi ko 'to ng paulit-ulit pero makikita niyo na anong nangyari. Kung titingnan natin dito, bago mag-close yung sub-quarter 1 of quarter 2, asan yung price? Above equilibrium. Anong sabi ko? Ang mas malaking tyansa na i-sweep niya yung high of the current quarter of previous quarter. So ganun na nga, above equilibrium, tinake niya. O dito naman tayo, dynamic yung pag-move ng PDRA of that sub-quarter. Bago mag-closing, ano yung price action? Above equilibrium. So most likely, previous dynamic PDRA mo will be, yung high niya will be taken. Na-take siya dito, minove mo dito, kaso above equilibrium. So most likely, that high of that current sub-quarter will be taken. At yun na nga yung nangyari. And so on and so forth. So, yung pinaka-tip dyan is really the end of the sub-quarter of or each quarter. Okay, so meron na tayong running trade. Yung expected natin na XCAMD, nangyayari na. Ma-break nyo lang to, magkaroon lang ng MSS dito or market structure shift. Magkakaroon ng bounce dito sa mga hindi nakatake dito ng entry, pwede ka pang mag-possible short continuation. Pero confirmation ng distribution dito will be at this particular price. Dapat ma-break nyo to. Ito yung wave 4 eh. So kung ito yung wave 4 mo, a correction, true correction should break the internal wave 4 of the current motive wave. And then kung mangyari man yan, ayan, ito yan. Kung ma-break nyo na yan, ma-confirm, then ang magiging target natin for the wave 2 reversal of a possible WXY correction will be from 0.5 to 78.6 retracement level. Ito, 1 RR trade lang to. Since natapos na ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, initially, I will put my SL 20 pips from the price to be swept. Since natapos na yung sub-quarter 3, I'll move now my SL here sa peak of the possible manipulation. So dito ko yan ilalagay. Or pwede mong i-adjust lang yan. Sabi natin from 3.63, ginawa mo na lang 38 halimbawa. Para magkaroon na at least 5 pips na SL. So kung ma-SL ka man dito, nag-lower na yung risk. Compared kanina na yung risk mo is, ayan pa, 20. Natapos na yung possible manipulation sub-quarter. So ang gagawin mo yun, i-move mo na yung SL mo according to the peak of the manipulation sub-quarter. So naging RR mo na ngayon will be 4.77 if your target will be at least the low of that current sub-quarter. Pero yung iba kasi mga influencers na napapansin ko, halimbawa nag-entry, nag-market sila dyan. Nung nag-market na, nilagyan na lang ng nilagyan ng SL, nag-screenshot, tapos yun yung isa-share. Dami kong kilalang ganyan. Gawain na yan ng mga kakilala ko dati, nahuhuli ko sila. Nag-entry na dito, halimbawa, di ba? Huwag mong i-booking. Nag-entry dito. Wala pa silang nilagay na trading tool, itong ganito, long or short position. Basta nag-entry lang sila dito, nag-market sila sa MT5 nila. Tapos, kung ano yung entry na sa MT5 nila, nilagay dito sa chart, tapos binigyan ng napakadipis na SL halimbawa para lang magmukhang sniper yung entry. Yung sa akin, pinakita ko sa inyo kung paano ko ginawa at ano yung anticipated initial SL ko and then imumove yung SL. If hindi ginawa ng live, hindi kayo maniniwala. Pero kung ginawa ng live, of course, kita nyo naman kung anong ginawa ko. Saka una-una, wala naman akong dahilan para magsinungaling sa ginagawa ko. Ano yun? Niloloko ko lang sarili ko, nagla-live ako dito tapos para lang ma-impress kayo. Hindi naman ganun yung purpose ko. To educate is really my purpose. Tapos sasabay pa kayo sa trade from a well-explained analysis o the win-win situation. So kahit yung 10 pips pa rin nilagay natin dito, anong RR ka na ba? Just in case ang ginamit natin yung initial na 20. O kung initial na 20, nasa 0.5 RR ka na. Basta pagkatapos ng sub-quarter 3, huwag nyo kalimutan yung tip ko. Sub-quarter 3, move nyo na yung SL from an initial, based on data, from an initial na 10 to 20 pips, as long as mabigyan ka ng 1 RR, i-move mo na siya. So, ito magiging top level will be around 37, 39 para 5 pips na lang halimbawa. Or kahit dito sakto sa high ng peak of manipulation. Ito lang, nag-aantay lang naman tayo ng market structure shift for a confirmation na ng shorting. 5034. Naka-entry na kami, nag-limit order na ako dyan. 5034 kanina. Tapos pag natapos na yung sub quarter 3, I'll move my SL sa peak of the possible manipulation kasi tapos na yung sub quarter 3. Tapos kapag nag-BBE ako, hinahantay ko muna magkaroon ng impulsive down. Sa ngayon wala pa kasing impulsive down eh. So pwedeng ginagawa niya ngayon, ito lang, wave 0, tapos halimbawa wave 1 to 2. Yung impulsive down na hinahanap ko ito. Kapag nangyari na yung 3 na to, halimbawa nag-break na to, kung ano yung naging price ko ng wave 2 dito ko na i-move yung trail stop ko sa price ng wave 2. Kasi kung Elliott wave theory pag-uusapan, dapat si wave 4 retracement hindi mag-overlap sa territory ni wave 2. So, safe na yung magiging SL mo nun or trail stop with gain kasi below siya sa shorting entry price mo. Ang hihintayin mo, dapat magkaroon muna ng impulsive movement. Halimbawa dito, ito sideways movement pa lang. Huwag ka maglagay kagad ng BE. Maglalagay ka lang ng BE kapag nagkaroon ng impulsive movement. Kasi sa Elliott wave theory, halimbawa 5 waves down yan. 2, 3, 4, 5. Sa Elliott wave theory, kung dito mo nasalo, tapos nag-move ka ng BE dito, si wave 2 sabi sa rules ng Elliott wave theory, pwede siyang pumunta sa golden zone 50%, 61.8%, or high as 99.9% retracement. Kung dito yung entry mo, di ba? Tapos nag-BE ka kaagad dito sa sabi natin 50%, mabibi ka talaga doon. Tapos mamaya sabihin mo kung kailan na BE ako saka bumagsak. Bakit? Mali yung pagkakaset ng BE mo. Dapat maglalagay ka lang ng BE, stick with your SL muna, maglagay ka lang ng BE kapag nagkaroon na ng impulsive movement. Ayan, meron ng first sign of impulsive movement. So kung 5 waves down yan, assuming ito ay 5 waves down, asan yung possible wave to retracement? Pwedeng dito yung wave to retracement. So kung magbi-BE ka, pwede kang dito maglagay. Halimbawa, mabibisi ka tapos ito na yung naka-entry ka dito, pwede kang maglagay dito ng BE. Kung mabi ka man, may gain ka pa rin sigurado. Tapos yung wave 3 na to, possible wave 3 na to, ito yung possible impulsive movement. So kung kanina nag-start tayo ng live dito sa quarter 3, kung atat ka mag-short, nag-short ka kagad dito, tiniis mo pa yan. Itong from this time window to this time window, kung nag-short ka kagad first candle pa lang dito, imagine kung ilang 1-minute candles yung tinitingnan mo. Pero kung tinignan mo yung time window na binigay ko kanina, nahintayin natin matapos yung 9, 10, 12 candle. Di ba? 10, 12 candle ito. Ilang candles yung sinwip niya before 10, 12? 1, 2, 3, 4 candles. So 10:08, nagkaroon ka na ng entry. At yung entry mo is the possible sweep of this. O kung gusto mo, minarket mo dito, mas maganda yung EP mo. Pero basically, yung in-anticipate nating structure na XCAMD is currently playing out. Nakakailang live na ako dito sa TikTok at madalas naman yung binibigay kong QTR structure ay tama. Unang-una, may confluence. Ang pinaka-confluence ko dyan is of course the Elliott wave counts. Dito, OTE or 50%. Kung live ko kasi siyang china-chat, or rather china-charting or iti-trade, usually tinitingnan ko yan live counts eh. Yan. Kagaya dito kanina, ideal, ito kasing measurement ng OTE or wave 2 measurement sa Elliott wave theory, ideal retracement levels lang yan. Pero kung gagamitin ko kasi yan as entry, sa kagaya ko na from swing, naging intra, naging scalper. Para sa scalper, masyado makapal kasi itong SL na tayo. If this is my invalidation, pag naglagay ako ng limit order sa 61, halimbawa naglagay ako ng martingale strategy, naglagay ako ng entry dito, nag-entry dito. Ang gusto ko yung entry, yung hindi kasi ako naglalagay ng maraming entry eh. Buhat atong entry. Makikita nyo naman yan sa mga analysis ko, lagi lang akong 1 entry kalimitan. So tingnan ko muna to, kapag halimbawa first downtrend is 5 waves. O kung 5 waves to, edi expect ako ng ABC. So kung ABC 'yun, patapusin ko muna yung ABC dito or first 5 waves I mean, ano ba, first 5 waves, tapos magbo-bounce at least 3 waves up, tapos saka ko na susukatin yung ideal measurement niya. Pero as of now, ilan na yung RR natin? So nakakaabot na tayo from adjusted initial na peak na tayo ng 3.71 RR. Pero from original yan, nasa almost 1 RR na tayo. From original initial SL. Basically, win-win na yung naging analysis trade natin. Ma-break lang to, magkakaroon ng Elliott wave market structure shift. Yung market structure shift kasi ng ICT way, ito, diba, dito na break niya, MSS to. So ang gagawin na iba, maghanap sila ng entry after ng break, which is usually dito. Pero sa Elliott wave way kasi, ang market structure shift namin based on wave counts. Ito yung wave 4 ko, dapat ito yung MSS. 'Di ba sa ano, 'di ba sa ICT way, dito ka maghahanap sa lower time frame MSS. Halimbawa dito, nagkaroon ka ng MSS dito and hanap ka ng entry dito. Kung titingnan mo maigi, hindi naman binalikan pa 'to. Babalikan lang 'to sa Elliott wave theory, babalikan 'tong area na 'to kapag natapos yung internal waves ng wave A. Dun lang babalikan 'to. So hindi mo na-trade 'tong bagsak na 'to ngayon, 'di ba? Pero kung marunong ka ng Elliott wave theory, ang MSS mo dapat dito. Once na na-break yan, dito na magkakaroon ng bounce, tapos dito na pupunta. So imagine kung dito ka naghanap ng MSS, kaka-break lang dito, dito ka naghanap ng entry, tapos sabihin mo FR. Most likely, FR ka nun, FR ka talaga nun. Pero kung Elliottician ka, ang true MSS mo should happen here. Pero kung base kasi sa Elliott wave counts kanina na shinare ko, even without the QTR, expected naman na magkakaroon ng correction dito, 'di ba? Live kong in-explain sa inyo na magkakaroon ng correction dito at least 50% or 61.8%. Pero yung ni-refine natin yung Elliott wave counts ko gamit ang QTR na trading system ko. So imagine mo yung naging execution mo. Talagang naging refined, tapos yung risk naging mababa. Naging 4 RR na yung trade natin. Yun lang, hanggang 10:45 lang ako. Anong inaasahan ko pag nag-close ako ng live or kung magko-close ako ng live? Di kasi kayo nagla-like at nag-share. Paano ako magko-continue ng live? Kung lagi lang nag-share at nagla-live dyan, nagla-like, baka extend natin. Pero ang inaasahan ko na dito is NIABC. Ayan nga yan. So mamaya, babalikan na dito. Kasi nagkaroon na ng MSS dito eh. Yung MSS ng the Elliott wave way ko will be the wave B. Pag natapos ng internal waves ng wave B, ng wave A dito, so ganyan yung magiging structure niya. Oh. Itong structure na to, papabor din sa possible structure natin ng AMDX structure. Kasi 'di ba, gaya ng in-explain ko kanina, ito XR, ito yung accumulation, ito yung manipulation natin na quarter. Tapos yung fourth quarter is a possible distribution. So yung distribution na to, pwedeng dito natin siya kunin, pwedeng dito. Or usually naman kasi after 5 waves, ito na yung head HNS pattern. Yung left shoulder niya is usually the wave 3, head niya is the 5th wave, yung right shoulder niya is wave B. So kung ito yung wave 3 mo, ito yung right shoulder mo, dito yung banda, yung magiging wave B. Bounce, tapos tutuloy na naman siya another 5 waves down dito. So kung nakakuha ka ng trade dito, it's safe to take full profit na. Pero kung meron kang, kung greedy ka, bahala ka sa buhay mo. Basta one thing's for sure in terms of Elliott wave theory, magkakaroon ng bounce yan. Kung alanganin yung entry mo dito, halimbawa hindi ka snipe dito, hindi mo ginaya yung entry namin, pag dito ka nakapag-market na or since kakapasok mo lang halimbawa sa live, dito ka nag-entry, di ano mangyayari dun? Most likely, mabi'i ka pa. Kaya dapat ito, kahit kung seryoso talaga kayong i-adapt yung or ilagay sa trading system niyo yung quarterly theory, especially yung QTRI ko, Hintayin mo lang matapos ang 10:45 candle, doon ka mag-close. Kasi after the closing magkakaroon ng reaction. Or kahit yung initial target natin, ito lang naman ang initial target natin, eh. 'Di ba, na-take naman, nagkaroon na ng MSS. Mag-e-expect tayo ng bounce mamaya tapos magko-continue babagsak pababa. Sa mga nakasabay diyan na nasa community, huwag niyong kalimutang mag-share dun sa ano, mag-share ng resibo para naman makita nila na ano, may natutunan na kayo, may na-gain pa kayo. 'Di ba, saan ka nakakita ng gano'n, na natuto ka na, nasabayan mo pa ng live. Saka 'pag nagbibigay din ako ng analysis ko, of course, one directional ako. Ayoko nung maraming scenario, scenario 1, scenario 2. Ang gusto ko isang direction lang. Puwede siyang different scenario pero yung directional bias is iisa lang. 'Wag yung halimbawa nagbigay ako ng analysis tapos may pang-short, may pang-long. Ang ginagawa ko madalas 'pag nagbigay ako ng analysis, kung pang-long yung binigay ko, two scenarios pero ang directional bias is the same, which is, long pa rin yung both scenario or short pa rin yung both scenario. Kasi kung yung scenarios ko ay isa long, isa short, siyempre sino bang gaganahan na ano, na i-trade yung ise-share ko kung gano'n. Matatakot lang binag-overthink mo pa yung ano, gustong mag-consider na analysis mo kasi hindi mo ikaw din sa nagbigay ng analysis or ako mismo na nagbigay ng analysis kung dalawang directional bias ko, paano ko ite-trade yun? Maglalagay ako ng short, maglalagay ako ng long. Kung sinong paldo, yun lang ise-share ko, gano'n. Hindi naman dapat gano'n ang trading. Kung influencer ka malamang gano'n gagawin mo. Eh, hindi naman ako influencer, trader ako. Kapag kung real trader ka talaga, dapat isa lang yung directional bias mo. Kasi kung madami yan, paano ka makakapag-trade ng matino? Ayan na. So, usually 'pag ganito, kung ako lang mag-isa, chine-check ko yung internal waves niyan sa seconds time frame. Seconds time frame, obviously hindi pa tapos yung 5 waves down for wave A, eh. The wave 1, 2, 3, puwede na rin palang tapos. So, posible na nga talaga siyang mag-up, mag-bounce up at least 3 waves for wave B. Yes, 3 waves up. At least 3 waves up ba or any corrective ano, structure. Puwede kasing ano, WXY, 'pag WXY double zigzag. Yung 3 waves up magiging 6 waves up pero labeled as WXY or double zigzag correction. Tingnan niyo yung ano, yung sabi ko kanina, kung if you were listening attentively, sabi ko yung dynamic PDRA natin, sub-quarter PDRA, nakadepende palagi yung gagawin niyang next sub-quarter, nakadepende palagi sa closing. Halimbawa dito sa current, dito tayo nag-peak. Tapos ito, kitang-kita naman na yung price action before the closing is below equilibrium. So malaki ang tsansa talaga na i-break niya 'tong, low na 'to para gagawin niya yung wave C. Pero of course magkakaroon ng at least 3 wave bounce yan for wave B. So may re-entry ka dito. Kung dito mo siya nasalo, puwede ka mag-trail stop dito o at least magkaroon ka ng positive gain, trail stop. Pero kung dito mo siya nasalo, alanganin yan kapag dito ka. So babalikan niya possible wave B tapos re-entry ulit pabagsak dito, from dito paangat naman. Kung sakasakaling umangat pa. Kung base kasi sa Elliott wave counts, WXY to kasi since 5 waves to, dito may A, B, C na, ito A pa lang to, may B pa dito, tapos may C pa na paangat. 'Di ba kung titingnan niyo maigi, maganda yung pagkaka-forecast natin ng pagkaka-explain at pagkaka-forecast ng anticipated AMD structure. So, XRAMD yung possible sa QTRI. Tumutugma din siya sa Elliott wave counts. Tapos na-identify natin yung sub-quarter structure of the quarter T is an XCAMD. Anyway, this is live naman. So, kung gusto nyo sigurong kita yung buong analysis. I will be asking the help of Trevor to edit it at least. Kasi pag Crow, ang daming mga pause moments or minsan minumute ko para minom ng tubig and so on. Ganda ng ginawa ng subquarter 3. So yan lang oh. Kung ikaw ay busy tao, ito lang talaga masasuggest ko sa'yo eh. Halimbawa, gusto mo mag-trade pero sasabi mo, hindi kaya ng schedule ko maging trader. Ito nga yung ginawa ko dati kasi nagtatrabaho din ako. Empleyado din naman ako dati. Tapos, syempre, hindi naman kung gagawin mong side work ang pagiging trader, kailangan mong gumawa ng time. Iyan, isa to sa mga naisip ko. Quarterly theory na idea pero using the overlapping sessions of the most volatile time windows of the day. O kung halimbawa, estudyante ka, tapos 6 ka lang makakauwi or before 6, pwede ka mag-trade ng 6:15 to 8:30. Kung ikaw naman ay may break ng 4 to 6, 4 to 6:15, pwede ka maghanap ng trade. Basta sub-quarter 2 at sub-quarter 3 ka lang palagi maghanap ng trade. Hindi mo kailangang i-trade lahat ng quarters. Ang paghanap ng trade setup is sub-quarter 2 or sub-quarter 3. So, kung free ka ng 4:34 to 5:42, find a setup using QTR. Or kung wala kang nahanap dyan, 6:49 to 7:57. Pag wala ka nahanap dyan, third quarter, 9:04 to 10:12. Pag wala, last quarter mo para maghanap is at 11:19 to 12:27. Ayan na, malapit na matapos yung sub-quarter at tingnan nyo maigi. Ayan na, matatapos na yung sub-quarter 4 of the third quarter. Magkakaroon niya ng reaction after the closing. Tingnan nyo dito. After the closing, nagkaroon ng reaction, nag-reverse. Ito, quarter 1. After ng closing, nagkaroon ng reaction, nag-reverse. Tingnan nyo dito. After ng closing, nagkaroon ng reaction, tapos continue pataas. Pero kung titingnan yung sub-quarter transitions, lagi nagkakaroon siya ng interaction, ng reaction. Tingnan nyo dito. Ayan o, di ba? Kita naman na every sub-quarters nagkakaroon ng reaction. Ang idea kasi neto, syempre yung mga traders from Asian, London, and New York, hinahati din nila yung pagiging trade nila. Syempre, first, kung bagong open lang, hindi lang pwedeng aggressive buy or aggressive sell sila. Hintayin muna nila yan. Halimbawa, opening ng London, hindi naman kagad mag-aggressive buy or aggressive sell yan. Hintayin muna nila yan. Siguro kalagitnaan. Theoretically, kalagitnaan of the London session, doon sila maghahanap ng entry ng short or long, depende sa nakikita nila. So basically, ganun din yung idea. Saka align din naman to sa somehow align din siya sa opening ng sessions of Asian or closing and opening of Asian, London, and New York. Kaya nga, overlapping sessions lang yung ginamit natin. Ayan na, natapos na yung quarter 3. Tapos makikita nyo to, meron na siyang sweeping off. Ito na yung tip nagkaroon na siya ng sweeping of the sub-quarter, quarter 3 low. Yan. Tingnan nyo maigi. Nagkaroon na ng sweeping. So, ibig sabihin yan, ano ibig sabihin nito? Matutuloy na nga yung anticipated AMD natin na structure for the QTR. So, ito yun, yung structure for QTR. So, matutuloy na yan. Kasi na-break niya na yung low of the manipulation. So, magkakaroon siya ng distribution dito. Yung nga lang, kung di ka naka-entry dito, tapos dito ka nag-aabang, dumire-diretso na siya dito. So, good luck na lang. But, one thing's for sure, kung i-adjust natin tong ating RR, ito na yung binigay sa ating RR. Saan ka makakita ng ganyang RR na binigay sa inyo ng live? Bukod sa natutunan yung RR, 100 RR na natutunan, meron pa kayong 9 RR na trade. O siya, magbe-break time na ako. Tingnan ko kung makapag-live ulit ako mamaya. Para din yung mga videos na ipapa-edit ko or i-edit ko ay hindi ganun kahaba. Okay? So, salamat sa mga nanood. Sana mas dumami pa tayo. Ang next live ko will be... Actually, ayoko nang mag-live ulit kasi winning trade na Bakit mo dadagdagan pa ba? Talo pa mamaya. 11:19 to 11:27. Pag clear yung structure, magla-live ulit ako. Pag hindi, let's call it a night since paldo naman na yung naging trade natin. Okay, see you again next time. Huwag kalimutang i-like sa susunod at i-share palagi yung live natin. Bye-bye. See you sa server natin.